All right, we are back with half-baked thoughts on training, and we have special guest Kalil Sherrod, just recently on Table Talk. He is the founder of the old podcast, Get Clean podcast with Kalil, and we also have Sammy Sebok, and then we have Big Eddie, and we have Big Emmett, and then myself, Steve Rose. So, Khalil, if you want to just kind of give an overview of who you are, where you're at right now, and where you've been.
Yeah. So, like you said, Kalil Sherrod. I currently live in Columbus, Ohio. I just founded my own training company, officially called Revenance Coaching. Like you mentioned, I have a podcast name called the Get Clean Podcast, but soon I think I'm going to rebrand it, like I'm doing everything, to the Revenance Podcast. I also am the founder of the Conjugate Seminar, which I will be bringing back next summer, so stay tuned for that. It'll be at a very cool location, and hopefully bigger and badder than ever. Uh, I am closing on a really good career opportunity actually right now for a job, but I don't want to say it yet until it's official. But I should find out next Friday. So depending on when this drops, I can actually have it in there. Um, but yeah, originally from New York City. Been a full time strength coach for 7 years now. Played Division II basketball when I was younger, and yeah, that's it.
There we go. All right, so I'm going to start with a couple of questions where so knowing your backstory, like knowing that you were in Georgia for a while, what made you decide to move to Columbus? Like how did you go about, if you don't mind explaining, how you got the opportunity that you're out there now, and how's just training at Elite FTS right now?
Well, originally I got an offer to work at a gym because I knew the owner for a while, and that didn't work out because that owner, that gym, ended up not being so great. They have a reputation for not being so great. And I'm not going to say the name, but you can look on my page and
Yep.
you can find out what gym that is. And then if you know enough people in the conjugate community, I sadly found out after I got here that it's not a great place to work. But because of that job, I got to work out at Elite FTS. That's probably the biggest reason I got on the podcast. And now this big time career opportunity end up opening. So, good things come to those who wait. It's been a lot of waiting, but and I was just telling somebody this about training at Elite. Benjamin Smithley, the one that owns Thirst in
Yep.
Indianapolis, and he was like, "How is it?" And it's just like, I knew from afar that having a good training group is important, but not only do I have like the rah rah part of the training group, I have two people, no, three people that were former world record holders, including Dave, Matt Smith, and Todd Brock. And then there's three or four other people that are much stronger than me, or at least stronger than I even was when before I was sick. And, and then the best part is just on any day, any week, some world record holder will just come in and lift. So it's like you are getting coached every rep, like just how like all the stories you'll hear at Westside, the correct stuff too. If you have an injury, if you say, I need to work on this, you could ask each person and they'll tell you, oh, a way they've tackled that. And then obviously, yes, the environment is the environment. And it's funny, like I had a good training partner who was a client of mine, but it wasn't like I was learning from him and it was just me and him versus at the gym, it's anywhere between 7 to 11 of us on Saturdays and Sundays. Um, and almost every single person you can learn from, even she doesn't have Instagram, which sucks, but Amy Weisberger works out there too, so it's just like
That's
it's
crazy.
just so cool, like Amber Alice, her, she what
Yep.
does she raw squat close to 6, and she just moved because she's in the army, I think, to Florida, but she would come in, you know what I mean? So it's just like, and I enjoy like that's how you get better, like people around you that are better than you or what you strive to be. So And then like networking and business wise, it's like good too because like like I said, never know who's gonna pop up. So I really love it, and Columbus is a pretty good city, so I like it.
Very nice. Um, Another thing that I wanted to ask you about was a couple of months ago you were getting into like the tempo stuff and really diving into Poliquin.
Mm.
What because I know like was this at your first seminar we were kind of like laughing at all the people that were training at another gym that you were at where they were all like Poliquin folks and you'd be like they're not making any progress. What are they doing? So I'm kind of curious what made
Yeah.
you like go down that rabbit hole recently.
So it's funny, and that's where it's like you got to be to admit where you were wrong, or maybe
Yep.
you had a misconception. But I think the problem was the people that I had in the gym were just a bad representation of him.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
I just didn't know much, just because like that's what maybe that's 5 or so years ago.
Yep.
So I was still only like 2 or 3 years into like doing it full time, and so all I knew was just Louis stuff. But then, what was it, about 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, something like that. Dr. Pence, I don't know if you're familiar with him. I had him on my online version of the Conjugate seminar. He spoke, and I had him on my
Okay.
podcast just before that. He works for, I don't know what military base. It may be North Carolina actually. Um, but he was telling me all about Poliquin stuff, and then he was like,
Yep.
I'll just share. He shared with me a slideshow presentation from one of the seminars he attended of Poliquin, and it was a really good summary. And I was like, "This sounds good." And I was like, "So let me go a deeper dive in." And so then I bought his Poliquin's Principles, so his first book,
Yep.
which is a good, just kind of like overall. It's kind of like his version of Book of Methods,
Yep.
and so what I view it, and what Dr. Penn said, is that your best strength coaches, and I remember Jared Bitney talking about it a little bit too, because he said
Yep.
he used a lot of Poliquin stuff too, or he's read and he goes back on his stuff too. And he said, Dr. Pence is like, all the greatest strength coaches I know have a blend of both of those too, because I
Yep.
think they cover very different parts of our entire industry, and they're very good at very different things. So if you can read and try to understand what both of them are talking about, because a lot of them are referencing the same Russian motherfuckers,
Yep.
then you really can see like it just opens up more stuff for you to do with different clientele. So like Poliquin's stuff that I love, and his big emphasis is all the tempo stuff, but like
Yep.
he goes such in a deep dive, just like Louis does with like speed and strength, heavy strength aspect. He does the same thing with teaching you how to actually understand tempos in terms of what should the rep ranges tempo be for each different muscle groups depending on the goal, and then all the different type of loading parameters that you can do, like ascending sets, pyramid styles, both up and down, German volume, like all that different type of things. And I would say the bulk of it, at least especially in the Poliquin Principles, is mostly on bodybuilding. But
Yep.
as you guys know, with young kids, your Gen Pop people, their bigger problem is probably that they lack size. Speed
Hmm.
squats, max effort ain't going to do that. This guy over here is literally excellent at that aspect. And then just like there's just parts where it was like the way he would explain, like it was really cool. He was like, if you look at different body parts, they respond better in terms of growth when you break it down to what's the main makeup of the muscle type, the muscle fiber type of that muscle. So he was like, the hamstring is mostly a fast twitch fiber type. So he said his favorite thing to do was that they should be fast concentric contractions and they should be slow on the eccentric side. And that will make you activate and contract the hamstring harder, because its role when you're sprinting is that hard extension, right? And he was like, when you start breaking down, it's like, oh, like with your calves, the reason why they respond to higher reps is because they're slow twitch and high endurance involved muscles. So you need to do higher reps and or slow tempos, which is why when people do 4 plates on a seated calf, do 8 reps and go up within a second, their calves never grow. It's not because you can't grow your calves. It's just that most people don't want to use the weight they have to. Like, have you ever done like a 3 or 4 seconds down, a pause in the stretch, a 1 or 2 up, and a 2 second hold, like actually going on the ball of your foot?
Yep.
The weight difference between that and
Yeah.
a regular set and 10 is like
Yep.
literally 100 pounds, which
Yep.
means most people should be using like 10 to maybe 45.
Yeah.
But most people won't do that, right? It's the same even your bicep curls. If you
Yep.
swing in only 10% of the movement, you actually are contracting that bicep. It
Yep.
defeats the purpose, right? So it's like, it was just so cool. It was almost like I felt like I just basically further understood on a more scientific level of what I kind of already knew. But then I also had a new reference point where I could be like, because what I did was I would take his book because I had it on an ebook on one side, and I would put another part on the, how do split screen on my laptop,
Yep.
and I made like note sections to be like calves pages this, arms pages this. And so now I can say, oh, this is a, like, literally I was like, oh, for Matt or my client Jared, oh,
Yep.
this cycle add drop sets, go to page 43. You know what I mean? So it's like, it was
Right.
just another thing. But it's like, sometimes people, you don't kill the messenger, or sometimes people just represent something in a bad way and it turns you off, and then you're like, wait, no, this person did have 200 something gold medals underneath him. He probably did something right, especially being that they were from very different sports.
Yep.
Like how to progress someone to do pull-ups, and then how to progress from there. Little stuff like working your external rotator cuffs and how important they are. Like, it's just, yeah.
One of the other interesting things with that too, and this is just anecdotal, and it's only one Olympian that trained with him, but I always follow Helen Maroulis, and so she was the wrestler that he picked up just to prove that he could train wrestlers, because everyone was like, "Oh yeah, you can't train wrestlers or whatever." And her only gold medal was while he was alive, and then after he passed, she had two bronze medals. And that's not to say that it was just him,
Yeah.
but it's still true that that still holds up.
Is that the one that he talks about, that he basically brought up her lower back strength,
Yeah,
and it just
and
like
and, and her
she
grip
beat the
strength was
same
just
girl
so
that would always
strong.
beat her?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was Helen Maroulis. Sammy, do you have anything to
So what if any kind of crossovers like have you seen like where the maybe like you said, you know, a lot of people use both of them. Like have you come across like things like where they have kind of agreed or they are they're complementing each other in some way with what you knew from before and what you've learned with him?
Well, like, actually, in that principles book, it came out sometime in the 90s. And it's funny, like, when he's talking about hamstrings, he talks about when he visited Louis Simmons for the first time,
Yep.
and he talks about, what did he say? His hamstring table. And he was talking about the reverse hyper. And he said, I think this is the best device for growing your hamstrings, because remember when I talked about that fast
Right.
contraction? Now, I don't totally agree with it in terms of like going up crazy fast, but I
Right.
understand what he's saying, because when you literally talk about, if you're talking about like a sprinter, that fast contraction, it's like one of the few instances like where you really can do it. It's kind of like a hip thrust and a pull through. It's like one of the few ways that you can literally train that explosive locking out of the hips. So I remember that was like a big thing. He was like loved that machine, and that was like literally right when I think Louis started actually selling it publicly at that time.
Well,
Um,
and it's kind of interesting with that too, because like when you look at the overlap, and this is just like I have that quote from Buddy Morris just ingrained in my head all the time of just look for the overlap. And so you hear, Travis Mash work with Poliquin, or like Dane Miller did, because Adam Nelson hired Dane Miller when he was young and knew, very little, and just trained with Bondarchuk. And then after training with Adam Nelson, Nelson was like, "Dude, you need to go see Poliquin. There's a lot more." And I don't know what that story is, because like Dane's kind of like, I'm not sure where he falls with that one because it's like sometimes there's always allegations of drugs involved with Poliquin, but then at the same time, like Adam Nelson was really fucking strong. Like
Mhm.
he hit 565 with a mini band on bench for a double and like threatened to throw, some intern through a window or something like that. I don't remember what that entire story, but I know it was 565 for with a double mini band for a double on bench or incline. I don't know which.
Yeah. I would also say like some overlap. Well, I don't even know about overlap, but like he was talking about he was just like talking about like Louis and talking about how their guys are so strong because this is the '90s, so
Yep.
this is really good peak West Side, and he just showed some of the sample programs he was going over that dynamic day, and he was like, "Oh, if you need to get your bench up." I think he may have also done squat or deadlift. Here's how Louis would do it, and he was literally like
Right.
wrote it out in his book. Um,
Well, in his later work, he would reference Josh Bryant,
okay.
but it's the same thing where it's like just look for the overlap and everyone's everyone making progress you can learn from.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like I think like when I look at like my favorite guys that I read have talked to the most, have studied their stuff more than anybody else is probably Bird, Jared, and
Yep.
Mark Depp. And if you just watch how they train, it's all very different. They're using the same
Yep.
base system, a conjugate style system, but the way they train is so totally different. I mean, it's pretty different. But what I always say is that what I try to tell people is that just do the Bruce Lee or what Louis Simmons did, and you say each of these people for different reasons are training people pretty differently. The overall base is still the same, like you said. There's going to be a lot more overlap, but if you watch how they train, it's very different. But they're getting similar results. So what that tells me is that pick the type of client that you think their typical overall program kind of matches. And then when you have that said client, you kind of have that base for that type of client already. If that makes
So
sense. Like Bird is
here's the
excellent, I think, with track and field. I think
yeah
Bitney is really good for high school athletes, especially or even younger, and they respond well to very little change and they can handle a lot of volume. And then I think Depp is literally your classical Louis almost to a T.
yep.
But if you ask them what's their best broad jump, they're all going to tell you 11 feet. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like,
Yep.
okay, well, you're all doing very fucking different.
So this is an interesting point too because this is where I think of them a little bit differently too. So you're taking it as match the coach to the athlete, whereas I kind of see them as each personality of the coach has a different approach.
That too. That too.
And I don't know if I you're like you're forcing me to rethink this from a different perspective.
No, I
And it's
see
an
that too,
interesting
though.
way to okay.
No, I see that too. Yeah.
Because I was actually going to ask you like because I know like Sammy and I have talked to Fahey about this where like each coach has to approach it a different way based on their own personalities. So like where like Bird would be way over on one side where he's very free flowing, like everything is in his
Eccentric.
head. Yeah, he's the
Yeah.
artist.
Yeah.
Whereas Jared is more like the drill sergeant.
Yeah.
So I guess
He's
my
boring. He's
question would
boring. His personality's
yeah.
boring. That's it. Straight. He's boring.
So I was gonna ask like where on that spectrum between Bird and Bidney would you fall?
It's just funny because like if I train, let's say I have an athlete that's already like pretty strong, I posted him pretty several times. He's a coach
Yep.
too, named Jared Suthers, right?
Yep.
If you looked at his program that I've had him now for what is it? Jesus. Oh, a year and a half now. If you looked at that year and a half, literally in some like so what I do is like at the top of their program, I'll put each mesocycle and it'll just have like a brief description. So they and more so me, I know kind of like what we did right away as a snapshot above their current. and what's coming. And literally on some of them, you'll see Jared Bitney, classical West Side, Bird, like because if I take it's just to have an overall plan that I have, but that just means during this cycle, if it's Jared, I'm gonna be grinding him for about 8 weeks. And then it's gonna go into maybe like a Poliquin style, very on the hypertrophy. Then it's gonna go maybe into a bird style, a lot of jumps, reintroduce isometrics, start making max effort. And then I'll do a classical West Side style and then some type of peaking. So it's like if you look at it, like I'll be using all of those different methods because I know there's times where every person needs some like Jared's like his kind of rule is like, well, when I get them to 40, that's when I'll start throwing variations because they like it's ingrained into them. To me, I feel like that's a little too long. You know what I mean? I don't think they need to literally squat 600 and jump 40 before they could do something different than tricep pushdown. That's just me. But at times, especially with younger kids, you know, especially because they're weak and they're young, yeah, you could squat bench them 3 days a week. And you probably kind of should. And it should be kind of more linear. Like if you talk to or listen to, I feel like Dave and a lot of the guys would be like, I think it's good that you start linear because I think it's much easier for a newbie to master the basics and to put on muscle that way. And before you need it and before you can really milk it, you keep it basic. And then you start throwing bands and chains on. Like when I was talking to Depp recently, he said Louis told him, this is just boys. I don't know what the girls, I don't know, subtract another 50 or 100. But it was like a boy needs to bench 200 and deadlift squat at least 300 before they should start using bands. And when you think about it, yeah that makes sense because if they're benching 100, and so what? You're going to use the bar and maybe a micro mini if that even makes the 25%. Where it's like that means that person probably needs a whole bunch of muscle and to learn how to kind of grind first. You know what I mean? So okay, Jared's program kind of makes sense then, right? You know what I mean? Like, so it's just like, you know, where it's like, oh, a pro NFL player that we're talking the last 99.99 percentile, you know, it's like, okay, well, then they probably need more variance. They deserve more variance. They can and probably will get benefit out of speed squats and all that. They can do explosive cycles because it's still 300 and 200 pounds of band. Okay, I'm going to use more variance and I'm going to use more of a bird style.
Right.
You know, so it's like.
So I guess that's interesting because it's like your personality is almost like you're so adaptive that you're able to, I guess, when you're responding to your clients and your athletes, do you kind of like embrace their mannerisms when you're using their programs? Like, or do you. Are you like consistently just Kalil all the time? Or do you kind of like
consistently, I guess the thing is like me being consistently me is me trying to go above and beyond in every way where it comes to like to do the best for that person. So it's like if I need to change what I thought, what I wrote, you know, just like any good coach, I'll change the program accordingly. You know, when I start to really learn the person, how introvert versus extrovert, I can know, okay, they probably can go a little longer doing the same monotonous stuff versus I can tell this kid's checked out because they're a lot like me. They're very essential. They want new. Right. And then just like, you know, like I'm very like I will try to mold myself in that session to the people, the group, or the person that I have. Because like, you know, any good coach, like you have to motivate different, you know, some people need a pat on the back and say that they're good. Some people need to be yelled at, and some people are somewhere in between. You know, so I feel like that's a skill that it's hard to have, but like I feel like you need it as a coach if you're going to train different types of people. You know, if you're training one, like if you're training, you know, special forces, I don't know how many guys you're going to be playing Taylor Swift and saying, well, you know, so they're probably going to look at you, hey, you got do you have some balls down there? You know what I mean? So it's different. But if you're talking, high school kids, and you're talking the football players and the volleyball player or the tennis player, the golf player, they're probably going to be pretty opposite ends of the spectrum. So like you
Yeah.
need to be able to, but like at the end of the day, I'm always going to be me, which sometimes gets me in trouble, but I'm going to be, I'm dancing and I'm singing no matter who I'm training. It's just that at times it will be more or less serious. Like some kids, you got to get buy-in by literally making it fun for a while. Like, what do you want to do today? Some kids, that long term will get them to finally do all the crap that they don't want to do. Whereas some kids, that's like, I'm up for a scholarship, coach. Just tell me what the hell I got to do. I'm shutting up and I'm doing. You know what I mean? So it's like, so I feel like you just have to approach everybody,
Yeah.
like, meet them where they are or whatever.
So I kind of agree with like that approach because I hired a new coach and I've been like trying to teach him the how and why we do things, and I've told him other coaches to watch and stuff. And so one of them was Jared, and he was like asking me some different things about Jared and his program, and I was kind of explaining to him, he was asking about the squat ratios and people running, and I was explaining to him like, well, they don't like they just test, they don't run like we do. And he was like, well, how? And I'm like, well, they squat heavy 3 times a week, and they jump 3 times a week. I'm like, culturally, I know here my kids are not going to come 6 times a week and squat heavy 3 times a week. Like they're not going to do that. Like not, nor does that fit my personality completely. Like as we've already talked about a spectrum. I'm much shoulder to shoulder with Bird is more so in my line of thinking, but I steal a lot of Jared's stuff, for like basis of strength, and it's changed the way that we, load our verticals and our progress with that stuff. But I just know like culturally, like especially with young guys these days, like you're not going to get these boys to come in there and squat heavy 3 times a week, especially if like they don't know from one month to the next if they're getting faster. Now, if you are doing sprints and jumps and they're all going up, and you can tell them like, well, if you go over there and you get your squat up this much, it'll help them too. Well, then you can get that buy-in like you're talking about. You got to find a way to meet them. So, but I totally agree with that. Like I just know like not even client to client. I just know culturally where I'm at. Like I'm not going to get a bunch of kids to come in and squat heavy 3 times a week, 52 weeks a year. Like it's just not happening.
Yeah, and the reason I'm asking all these questions is because so I have, you know, 3 kids that are 20, 21, 22-ish that, they all bench over 315. They all squat over 400. They all squat or deadlift over 500. And so they're not as consistent anymore because they've achieved all their goals. But now I have the 14-year-old sister of one of them. And so today we just got a pole vault pole that we got to borrow from the school system because of course I have pole vault mats in my backyard. So now we have the pole. She's like a 16.89 in the 100 meters, and now we have a year to try and get her to go from like, you know, slowest on the team and couldn't clear a height to now she has a backyard a mile away from her house with a full pole vault setup. There's no excuse not to do well. So we're just trying. She just squatted 135 on a safety bar to a 12-inch box with the 6-inch pad for 3 sets of 3, and she just pulled 2 sets of 3 on a conventional deadlift from the floor with 155. So we're cooking, and it's 14 years old and 6 weeks of training, and we're hell bent on just getting her to be as good as possible. But I want progress as fast as we can. So because it's like having unathletic kids that have never lifted before that started lifting with me, and now like I said, like they bench 3, they squat 4, they one squat 6, but nobody's competing, nobody's an athlete, so it's like trying to use what I learned from you guys, whether it's Emmett or Kalil or Sammy and Bird and Bidney and Fahey and Zach. It's like I don't have the experience, so I rely on all you guys in these conversations to, make sure that I'm doing stuff right because only have one athlete and I can't screw up. So you guys do the work for me.
I also really agree, like, and use the same approach as like starting a beginner, like more linear. Like, my beginners they're going boring 5 sets of 5. You got all your sets and reps, and your form was good. Go up 5 or 10 pounds the next time, and we're just going to keep doing that until all of a sudden, like, oh, it's really hard, and you can't get all your sets and reps, and your legs are like getting toasted, and it's affecting your sprints and jumps. Okay, now we're going to like give you some variance.
Yeah, that makes sense. So far, I've only done basically like threes and fives. Make the technique look really good on the threes. The next day we'll hit it for fives, and then we'll add 10 pounds or whatever, and keep going up like that. And for 6 weeks, it's going pretty well. Where we started with the bar, like we started with the safety bar, or actually less than that. We started with the goblet squat, and then once I was sure that she could do the safety bar, it was like, all right, game on, let's go. But I figured like with the safety bar box squat, it's so easy to teach that I did that before doing a free squat because I was like, she can learn a free squat once she has, you know, some kind of strength. And that kind of worked out where it was like I went strength before structure rather than structure before strength, just so that everything looked good. And we'll see how it goes, but I think it's going all right. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I
I
like
would argue that you didn't go strength before structure. I mean, I think a box squat is a great way to teach
Okay.
like new people how to squat. Like it gives them something to aim for when they're sitting. Like they're not going to dive bomb into the bottom of it. Like
Yep.
it's going to help them keep their knees where they need to be. It's going to help them keep their feet where they need to be. Like I love using a box to teach a squat. I normally
Okay.
go from a box to a goblet, and I only have straight bars, so we'll do
Yep.
that for like brand new people. That's the way I go. But yeah,
Okay. Because I
I think
started with
that's
with
a great way.
empty. I went nothing to a box because like just learning the box is so easy, and like seeing my daughter at 6 like constantly in physical therapy for broken legs because of the bone disease. Like it's always a box squat. They call it a sit to stand, but it's always a box squat. So
Hmm.
it's
I want
just
to
something where,
I 100% agree with that. I do the same thing, like teach with the box. And then a lot of times I'll still do like a goblet squat after the box squat.
yep.
Like, mechanically similar movement, like, make it lighter and tell them go all the way down and pause and then come back up. And, then
Okay.
eventually, like, we'll take the box away if they're young. And, like, again, like I might lower the weight way down so that they're not like I'll just tell them this is different. We're learning something new, so we're just going to start all the way back down at the bar. So don't worry about your weight today. Just go all the way down and let them build back up, and they'll build back up quickly. But they don't have that pressure of trying to match the weight they were doing on the box, and then they're trying to cut it high so they get the weight, and they're worried about holding the weight and all that stuff. Because trying it the other way, I've tried it that way, man. It's so hard to get a kid to sit all the way
Oh
down
yeah.
where they need to
Well,
go.
and so that's what I did too, where it was like I got her up to 115 for 3 sets of 5, and then I went to the straight bar, and it was like the depth was still like sketchy, and she didn't want to sit down as much, so I was coaching depth with just the bar, and then when she got up to 115 on that, then I was like, all right, we're going back to and that's why I said like strength over structure because it was like once she hit that 115, and her body weight is probably like 105. So I was like, all right, cool. We're going back to the box. We're gonna get you strong again, and then we'll work on structure again. So I'm kind of like my 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 waves. It's almost like a 3 week wave of each, and just rotating those two back and forth. Just playing with that.
Yeah, what
what I've been doing now that I change it, like that's probably something that I've implemented since with Poliquin stuff, is that when I have like a newbie, whether they're younger or older, doesn't really matter. I'll choose between having them belt squat to a box
Yep.
as their first like heavy lower body movement, or I will have them heel elevated goblet squat. And
Okay.
the decision is always, does the kid lack a lot of ankle and hip flexibility? Then what
Yep.
I do is I'll start them on the goblet squat. And or especially if they're a kid that I know the box squat's going to go to crap on the belt squat because it's like too many elements. And
Okay.
then, but if they're good on the flexibility part and they're pretty strong, then I'll have them start with a belt squat to a box, because I want to eliminate the walking out, but still be to
Right.
kind of actually still load them heavy. And I'm doubling up on keeping the focus on the hips and not the spine before their spine is actually strong. So then
Right.
what I try to do is like the first 2 cycles, at least 2 cycles before putting the bar on their back, is like learning the movement of that box squat with some weight into me, most people's biggest weakness, all that load on their hips, while I'm doing like isometrics in the reverse hypers.
Yep.
And then another day doing like heavier back extensions actually for reps. Then that next cycle, maybe reps on the reverse hyper and another, and probably still pushing the 45-degree back extension. So by the time that like third cycle comes around, and I'd say most kids I start them unless they have an elbow issue or shoulder issue, I'll start them on the straight bar. I can actually have them stay upright the entire time. You know what I mean? And they're actually like
Okay.
ready. And then they've also been learning how to squat to a box without the walking out. And now basically all I'm teaching is setting up under the bar and walking out. So that's kind of like how I've been kind of doing that.
Okay.
That's how like I usually start a lot of people, because I'll just still go real heavy and hard on like all their accessories, and I'm
Yep.
resistance jumping and or sprinting them. So they're still getting that
Yep.
high end velocity work. They're still getting stronger, but they're building them. You know, for instance, like most kids, they just have no upper, well, their whole back, it just doesn't exist.
Right.
For 2 months, I'm just going to focus on that. All of a sudden, they can stay upright. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay. What do you do for because I know like Jared's like diehard with the dumbbell jumps, and then like Zach has the plyo swing. And then like Bird kind of, is controlled chaos with everything.
Mm.
Where are you on the jumps? What do you like to do as like depending on like for athletes, what would your athletes normally do?
I'd say the thing I do.
I know you used to do a lot of box jumping, so
Yeah, and I would say it's like the emphasis probably with anybody more often than not. Like if I have 12 cycles in the year, for easy math, let's say 6 to 8 of those would be 2 days a week. They'd be jumping on the mat. Then it
Yep.
depends how often I see them. Do I see them 3 or 4 days a week? And am I getting them for that year? Then usually what I do, let's say it's lower body focus, at least Mondays
Yep.
and Fridays, and then Wednesday is an upper body. That Wednesday may be like hurdles,
Yep.
resisted sprinting, maybe a lot of sled work. That's like the quote unquote like the extra lower body stuff, both on a strength. Like their banded hamstring curls may also be on that day, just because the heavy squatting days, the sessions are already long. And
Yep.
then that way we work some of that elasticity, depending on how much of a deficit they have. On Wednesday, I would be doing that. And then just for the sake of adding some variance, plus like maybe when they're in season, that's when I introduce a lot more box jumping because the landings are softer.
Okay.
You know what
That
I mean?
makes sense.
And I would say if they suck at their broad jump, or slash I see when they test it's not improving, then either on that plyo day I do like resisted broad jumps,
Right.
or I replace one of the dumbbell jumping days with a broad jump.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how often do you do that with the broad jump with testing and
I kind of followed, not exactly how Jared would do it, but on the 5th or 6th week, depending on where the kid is and how beat up they are, that's like their deload / testing week. And that's
Yep.
when I would test well, test at least their regular broad jump. So because maybe on Wednesdays during that cycle, I was doing get a record with ankle weights on, or get a record jumping over a hurdle or falling from a box into your broad jump. You know what I mean? So, but then like actually testing their non-weighted, not a contrast back and forth vertical, a regular bench, a broad jump, their regular 40, whatever, that would be on that fifth or sixth week.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So touch back on Poliquin for a minute, because I feel like we've already kind of went here. I do the same thing. Like my kids, like if they're in that beginner group, like weighted back extensions is part of their warm up, because like they're so weak that it's really just going to prime the session, and it's going to take care of a lot of stuff that we need to take care of anyway to build them up before we're going to move and put a bar on their back. But if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it Poliquin that talked about how like if you could build lower back strength, that it would essentially radiate and help improve all other movements?
Yeah.
And yet, how many times do we see today, like coaches and people who are athletes, like, oh, don't do anything for your back. Why would you want to build your back strength? Like, why would you deadlift? Where are you going to work your back? Like, but then we have one of the most successful coaches ever with how many Olympians did we say? 200?
At least gold medals, 200.
Yeah, and like all these other professional people that he's helped, who's saying, build your back up. And for me personally, like from a physical therapy standpoint, I posted the other day, like, because in Southern West Virginia, I see a lot of back people. Like, so many people would be better if they worked their abs, they learned to hinge so they could, build their back up, strengthen their glutes and hamstrings, and just work their legs a little bit. But we're telling athletes who are taking like the highest collisions and forces, why would you want to work your back?
And actually, that might be the perfect segue too, because I wanted to make sure that we got to this tonight too. Was like with rehab and all of that, Khalil, knowing that you've been dealing with cancer for what, like 2 years now, how has like coming back? Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, that sucks. Oh, God damn it.
That's big.
Yeah. So yeah, because it was like 2021, 2022 with COVID, and you were quarantining and all that. How have you been able to like adjust and like get better at auto regulating, dealing with all of that?
Well, a big thing is like, because my wife, I mean, she just finished her master's in nutrition, so like big changes to diet, because the chemo, the biggest thing is that it eats away at your muscle, right?
Yep.
So in the beginning, I'd say that first year and a half, I was really trying to still like push, like still doing max effort like every week. And I think I wasn't recovering from the chemo / it was just like, you're burning the candle at both ends, So with that, it was just like giving up on like trying to max out at least very often. And especially like with a straight bar, trying to do as much as I can on the bar, and putting the emphasis on hypertrophy and building muscle, because there was times where for 2 to 3 months there was no option to work. Like it was either just because I was throwing up too much, I'd be in and out of the hospital, and like every time, by the time I felt okay to work out, I was like, the next treatment's around the corner, I'm gonna rest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think the biggest thing was trying to get as much sleep as I can, eating cleaner, and eating as much as I could when I could really eat kind of normal. Because there was so many times when I was doing the harsh treatments that there were so many foods that would trigger me to throw up because of like the way they smelled or something like that. Or like, oh, I ate this the last time I threw up, and now I'm thinking about throwing up while I'm eating.
Oh,
so, and then it's like, but what I found was a sweet spot to me was I would do, what was I doing? I was doing, oh God, now it's hard to remember. Oh, I would do 2 hypertrophy days. So one lower, one upper, and then a combo dynamic day. And that was to me the sweet spot, because the biggest and I put the most importance on the hypertrophy, because I was like, without a certain amount of muscle, my leverages are changed dramatically. And then also just literally my immune system is getting weaker, because they found the more muscle you have, the stronger your immune system is. So it was allowing me, when I started focusing on muscle, I was maintaining closer to my weight that I was before. And I felt that was helping me recover. But what I loved was with the dynamic day is that they've also found that oxygen focused workouts, cardio focused workouts helps kill cancer. And I didn't want to go for runs or something like that, nor most of the time I could, because my lungs are usually fucked up. But it was like, because that workout was so dense, and at the end of the day, like, if all I did was focus on speed, I was still getting some force production. So I was still hitting some of that, but in a more safe way, and doing some like seated box, some stuff like that. But that workout was going so fast, not only when I was doing squats or benches or whatever it was, but like just the whole workout. I was breathing harder, and I just felt way better doing that. So I was doing, like I said, 2 hard hypertrophy days, and then 1 dynamic day, 3 days a week. And then when I needed to, sometimes like if I was coming off a hard treatment, sometimes I would just take a week off if I needed to. But what I would try to do is still just focus on the nutrition. And yeah, so that's how I like. And it's funny, it's helped me approach just regular people's fatigue in a unique way. I can't even like tell you exactly why, but let me tell you, if you can navigate cancer, you can navigate coming off of a flu and blah, blah, because I know better ways to hydrate, better ways to eat, better ways to, like, it's just like all the little things that you have to worry about just to feel halfway decent when you lift like that. I felt like I became a professional at that. I feel like helps with just regular people problems. You know what I mean?
So with that plan of 2 hypertrophy days and 1 dynamic day, did you have any issues with like the lack of joy, or did you find that you just like really enjoyed doing that too because it made you feel good too?
Well,
Like
like I said,
balancing like the joy of it.
there would be times where, like, both the transplants, I had to take 3 months off where I couldn't go anywhere besides my house to doctor's office.
Yep.
So the last, let's say, in that 90 days, 30-ish days is when I would start being able to do something. So I'd be super deconditioned, right? Because one of the things that would happen after the transplant, I'd be sensitive to sunlight because I would be stuck inside for so long.
Right.
So I would get this thing, which I still get sometimes, where it feels like pins and needles are going all over my body as soon as I go out in the heat in the sun. So you got to think, like, I was so inactive. So the times when I've been super sick, where there was not a chance because I was hooked up to a machine or I was throwing up or whatever, that when I would work out, I was appreciative that I was working out. You know what I mean? So it was like in the back of my head, I'm like, fucking weak. I'm like, I'm benching. I'm like, damn, 95 is a warm up that I used to could do like a clap bench with, and now I'm like, damn, this shit kind of feeling kind of slow. You know what I mean? Like, so sometimes you still have that, but I feel like there will be so many, or where like you go vacation and you're like, I can't wait for this deload of this vacation. I'm tired. I'm banged up. But at the end of that vacation, you're ready to go back to gym. Well, imagine that times 4, 5, 6, 8 more weeks.
Well, so like
being there,
with my leg injury, I spent 8 weeks in a bed too. So that's why I was like, I didn't know if like there were certain things that like, or like machines versus the bar, right? So like the first day back, I just wanted to touch a bar. Like, did you have something like that where it's like you're just happy that you're able to touch a bar?
Well, remember, like I said, that first like year and a half, and the funny thing, like the first year and a half, that wasn't probably my hardest chemo. And I thought it was super hard at that time, but it wasn't my hardest chemo that I've done, or radiation, whatever. But that was when I was burning the candle at both ends and still trying to max out and stuff like that. So like, yeah, I would touch a bar, but I'm doing tempo spoto press and stuff like that, and bent over row with a lot less weight than I was before, or demo deadlifts and stuff like that. But like I said, when I did the 2 hypertrophy days, I felt like it was enough barbell work on the dynamic day that I tried to basically just do dumbbells and machines on those hypertrophy days. And I just got smarter and smarter. And
Did you get excited for any like certain machine though? Like, was there anything that like you just stood out as like, hey, I used to be really into powerlifting, but now you know what? I just want to hit this like, seated calf raise or something silly where it's like,
well, this is funny. So, and I was like, well, how can I still kind of maybe get better? And I said, well, when you're doing max effort, when you're doing heavy sets, whatever you're doing, dynamic, you're really exhausted. So, first of all, your accessories are always second fiddle. But then, even more so, you focus more on the muscles that directly correlate to the lift or have the most to do. So, what doesn't, right? Your pecs, your biceps, kind of traps, maybe. Your calves, yes. But a big weakness for me, adductors, right?
yep,
So those in any shape or form, I would go extra hard doing. So like right now, my arms are the biggest they've ever been because I've actually been able to say, well, I'm not pushing my bench. So I'm gonna have an actual like full arm day. And believe it or not, the bodybuilders are right. That's how you grow your damn arms. But it's like
Yep.
that, like adduction machine, cable cross, or the pec deck, like, and just like experimenting and researching and trying to get new ways to target those same muscles. Even and in the past, it wasn't like a target, so it was gaining more knowledge in those areas too. And yeah, calves, stuff like that. So I wouldn't say one machine or one exercise, but it was literally just those muscle groups that I was like, well, when I go back, what am I going to do? Focus. I'm going to focus on hamstrings, quads, glutes, spinal erectors, and triceps, right? But if the other muscles that are my natural probably weakness and they always will be the afterthought because the other ones serve as priority. If I can come back and now, unlike the other muscles, maybe they're just at minimum what they were before I got sick, just because I actually focused on them, but maybe a little bit better, or there's maybe more tissue, so there may be more things to recruit, blah, 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 blah. I just felt it like that was like a cool way to think like I could still be getting better. Like forearms, I never trained forearms. But you talk to good benchers, they're like, well, your bicep and the forearm, they connect and they help bounce off the bench, just like your stomach does in your quad. And I'm like, if I go to my reverse curl versus my supinated, the gap is more than after when you read Poliquin than it should be. You know what I mean? So yeah.
I see we have Matt Sesney joined.
Yep, I made it on after little late, but I didn't forget with
Welcome,
the
Big
reminders
Matt.
from Jess. So,
So
good to see y'all.
So you too.
So I've got a
So
question. If I can jump in, you guys were talking about, like you were just talking about there about balancing the muscle groups and the opposing stuff. What have you found to be a good ratio for that? Like whether it's the forearms, reverse curl, straight curl, or if it's like the back versus the chest. What do you look for then? What do you try to encourage in your athletes?
Well, I think it's just like when I was saying earlier with like my client Jared, if you looked at the program, the phases would look very, very different. But they would, if you looked at it like, oh, it makes sense that these are phasing into each other. So it's just like, I think Dave, Tate, when I say Dave, talked about this before. And I was like, yeah, I've always adamantly believed it's true. Most guys that you're training, if they're not a world record holder, you can just probably guess. You just need to have them look in the mirror and say, where are you lacking muscle? Give you close to like world record levels of muscle in that area. And I bet you that lift that uses that muscle would go up 50 to 100 pounds. So it's like, look at every 500, 600, 700-pound bencher. They got what? 20-inch freaking arms. Yeah. You have 15. You're not the outlier. You already know that. So why not spend 2 to 3 months at least every year, focus just on building muscle? Because it's like I was saying, like after your main lifts, your energy, your likelihood to skip stuff is high and you only have so much time. But if it's like where you actually go, where I didn't do heavy sets of 5 on a squat first before I do my leg press, like, no, I'm using 100 pounds more, not skipping on my leg press. I bet you'll grow your quads actually for the first time. So it's like I think it's not so much change your regular training. It's that actually give, which is also good, your joints a rest and your muscles a time to grow. I think that's just what it is. You just need times of the year where you, especially like come off of meat. That's a perfect time. You could still be going hard in the gym, but it's in a different way. It also, to me,
Well,
if you're a person that likes change, it's a new stimulus, So
that's my background's more in Highland games and throwing.
Yeah.
And while I'm not that good at it, I've talked to a lot of people who are, and I've try to get their opinions. And like I don't know how many throwers I know that were collegiate throwers, and they would talk about how when the season was over, they were not allowed to touch an implement for like 5 months. Like they're changing dramatically changed, or there was that period before the throwing season started. They could not touch it just so that they would crave the implement again when the time came for them to actually start using it. And I knew there's another pro Highland game athlete. He would talk about how when the season would be over, he would do 2 to 3 months of just hypertrophy work to rebalance his body. Because by the end of the pro season, because he was right hand dominant, his right side like totally unbalanced between his left side. And so he would go through a couple of phases, and he's a big conjugate guy too. And like he would go through a couple of blocks just really, and he would still do some heavy stuff, but he would really focus on just rebalancing his body so that then he was set up to get, as he would say, then you want to get as strong as possible before the throwing season starts again. And you start actually, then you have your competitions where you then focus on just the dynamic as much as possible. So it's interesting. Like we talk about this stuff, and my training is like garbage. It's terrible, but it's like life is so full that it's like if I can get anything in, I'm happy, and like and I've especially with my weight loss journey the last few years, like I have found like the more hypertrophy I can add in as my accessories, like the better I feel, the more excited I am. And it's like the back thing for me is one, like I started focusing a lot more on my upper back, and like all of a sudden my shoulder problems went away. It's like, oh, now it could have been that I went to a closer grip bench, but it was like, I think it had more to do with the fact that I was training my back, and now at 295, I'm back up to 3 pull-ups and 3 chin-ups, and it's like, that's not too far off from my bench, and that kind of stuff. And I'm trying to balance those muscles. So I think there's a lot to that. And I really appreciate that you just put in a big advocate for doing a bulking phase every fall, because you said the more muscle you have, the better your immune system,
But it's funny, like if you pay attention to like a kid when they first start rowing, they're rowing with their shoulder. And if you think about, if your back is lacking, that's your support for your pressing, but it also means maybe during a lot of your rowing movements, you're initiating it with your bicep and you're finishing with your shoulder.
That was like me for years.
And then actually spending time to like really learn the techniques that bodybuilders learn for those movements and spending time just trying to grow. It's true. It's like, oh, now all of a sudden you have muscle that is supposed to be the primary mover of said lift. And now other things aren't constantly taking over and adding more stress to a joint. You know what I mean? So like, oh, your hips work when you squat, your back hurts less. Wow. It's sometimes just like a light bulb, like, wow, I didn't think of that before.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
So we glossed over this one a little bit, but how cool is it being able to just say, yeah, I was talking to Dave, and that being Dave Tate.
Hey, speaking of Dave, do you ever break out DaveTateSounds.com when you're in there training?
It's funny you saying that. I just remember that was a thing, and I remember us. When did we talk about that? When you visited Atlanta?
Yeah, it's still out there, man. The website's still live. That's a Mastonomics crew invention.
I gotta mention that too. You gotta send it to me because
I'll send it to you again. I mean, Dave knows about it. I've played it at his gym in front of him.
I just want to say we need to like take the whole thought that Eddie just did and like cast that to all youth sports. Like, if nothing else, having a break to like renew passion. Like, there's so many of my kids that are pushed so hard to play 2 to 3 sports at the same time, constantly year round, that by the time that their season gets there, they tell me like I'm not even looking forward to season. Like I haven't had a break. This is all I've done.
Yeah.
Like, I just want it to be over. Like I don't like I'm not even looking forward to it. And a lot of times, once they get kind of into the season, a quarter of the way, halfway, they're kind of enjoying it again, like being with their teammates on their school team versus travel or whatever small change there is. But we're talking about like a thrower who's essentially like a professional athlete in terms of development, taking time away from his sport to renew his passion and
Yeah.
rebuild his imbalances. But we have a 10-year-old who can't do push-ups, and they're like, well, we need to add at least 100 games this summer of baseball, or they're just not going to make it.
I think part of that comes down to like when you're getting ready for anything, like how far are you out from something? Like the idea of the funnel when you talk about narrowing the funnel going into the meet, like with your conjugate variations, or even just like what you're doing in training. Like if you're 6, 8 months away from anything, whether it be throwing, you know, high school baseball, a powerlifting meet, like do all the other stuff. And then that's the time, like you said, work on your weak points. And then when you come back to it, then you're happy again. Like I used to hate squatting on a straight bar, but now, like, because we only do it when someone's getting ready for a meet, it's almost like, it feels great to actually have my back engaged and everything locked in.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
your shoulders aren't fried. You could make a million examples. I haven't squatted in 8 weeks getting ready for this bench meet. And surprise, like my lacking lift, the bench is going up, but also all I can think about is I can't wait till this meet's over so I can squat again. And, I'll have to do some making up and, put some size back on from, not doing it for so long, but I'll be ready to go and put in more effort than I was before when I stopped squatting 2 months ago.
And I think people do not realize how fast it can come back. And I think I'm pretty sure there's studies out there that talk about that. Like when you've gained strength, you've gained muscle, and then like something in life comes up, whether it's an injury or it's a, cancer or something else, or just like life in general, you don't get to train as much. Like your body remembers that and it will build back. Like, I don't know how I've had that conversation with people before. It's like, yeah, it sucks when you first go back because you're like, man, this, like you said, this used to be my warm up and now it's like kicking my butt. But it's like it'll come back, and then
Well,
you almost kind of get to enjoy those newbie gains again, like when you're a teenager.
oh yeah.
That's what's
You
been
know?
happening
Well,
right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
well, that's like with the leg injury. So I squatted 501 in October. I got taken out by the snowmobile in January. I was cleared to start walking again March 1st of 2018. I signed up for the powerlifting meet thinking I was going to squat the bar, and
Mm-hmm.
I ended up, buying rafts, and I squatted 425 in June.
Yeah.
So you go from like missing a bunch of leg, and the blood's being licked up by coyotes in the woods to squatting 425. It's 85%.
I think a
Is
In
that
lot of
six
that.
months.
is that the origin of Crew Wolf Pack? It was actually wolves licking up your blood.
No, those were only coyotes. That was only coyotes. There's no wolves in Connecticut. It's fine.
I think a
There's,
lot of that
there's
is
at least
you
one wolf in Connecticut.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
see
the worst was I couldn't even verify that story. That's coming from my brother, because when you're missing half your leg,
Yeah.
they don't let you out of the ICU to go and inspect.
Okay.
So
Sorry, Matt.
like,
You're saying?
Well, I want to say is I think a lot of that with bouncing back is you've already broken through the mental barriers too.
Mhm.
Like it's the first time I put whatever 500 on my back. I've never squatted that before. Then even if something happens, you go away. Like my body is capable of doing this. I've done this before. I know what it feels like. I can do this again. Versus tonight in training, we have a young kid. He's like 15 or 16, trains with us, and he had a PR. He's been doing like a 5-3-1 with rotating bars and stuff, and he hit 292 on his squat on the Duffalo bar, and we were going to take him to 302. And 292, moved a little slow out of the hole, and then like once he got a little bit off the box, he blasted it. Great. He put 302 on it. It's 5 pounds on each side. It's a negligible percent.
Yeah.
But it's between his ears. He's never done that. His best was 272 before this week. He got stapled to the box twice. And it's like we gave him a little lift and just lifted him off the box, and then he finished it. I'm like, it's completely between your ears because you've never done it before.
Yeah.
And there's, like is it the Olympic lifters that'll have their coaches put trash bags on the plates because they don't want to know what the weight is so they don't overthink it. There's so many things that go
Bryce
on.
Lewis did that of the USAPL 2,000-pound total at 231.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And he would do that for the psychological aspect of it.
You get trainers like Big Steve that he refuses to teach his athletes plate math and makes up fake numbers so that they can't do the numbers and they don't know what they're doing,
Mhm.
No, I agree with that as well. In fact, there's different tools to help athletes along with that. For me, like for my bench, one of those was Mark Bell's slingshot. Like that helped build my bench confidence. Even though like you're doing the weight, it's not the same weight that's on the bar, but it's like tricks you mentally into thinking like, oh, I can do this weight. So like I can go heavier than I think I can. I think that's a big aspect of it too.
Mhm.
So yeah.
I think there's a lot of tricks, and seeing other people who are stronger than you can also help break through some of those mental barriers. I think that's been huge with Jess when she sees big benches and big squats week after week. Like, no, this is just normal. It's not like you're at your world gym and the big guy there benches 275. When you see people bench 400, 500, 600 every week, like, she can bench 200 pounds. That's not a problem. People warm up with that. It's a mental trick, but there's so many ways around it. But it's whatever works for each person, and it just takes time to kind of figure it out.
Yeah, I think as a coach, just lying to people is like one of the best things you can do.
Mm-hmm.
I think good coaching is gaslighting someone for their own benefit.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. So I
Sounds
take
like
it another
parenting.
direction. So I go a different direction. I make fun of them in a way where I have them laughing, but they still hate me.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah, that's a good
yes, I
one, too.
resonate with
Mhm.
So it
that.
sounds like parenting.
Yeah.
I mean, my favorite is always when like someone's like getting close to that last single,
Yes.
and it moves like molasses in the wintertime.
Yep.
And they're like, "How was it?" I go, "Lightning." Like, it's one of the fastest reps you've ever done. And they're like, "Really?" And I go, "Yeah." Like, let's make a jump. Like, who cares? Let's go for it.
Yeah.
Take
And then
another
they're gonna
one.
get it because like, especially if their brain's lying to them too, and they're like, "Oh, that felt really slow." And I was like, "I don't care what it felt like. Like, it wasn't. You just lie."
Mm-hmm.
All lifting is tricking your brain into doing whatever weight is on the bar.
So that's a segue I wouldn't mind jumping into for these different tools that are out there for speed training and tracking your speed. Like whether it's the OVR or whatever else it is. As someone who has one but doesn't really understand how to use it, and I just kind of throw it on there for fun to see what I get. What do you find like? Because obviously, when I get to like that third rep on dynamic, like I feel like it's going slow, but someone else may say, Eddie, that looked just as fast as the rest of them. What indicators do you look for? Is there percentages that you see like, oh yeah, that actually was slower, or you need to change what you're doing? I don't know. Any guidance there for a novice who wants to get more out of using tracking the speed when I lift?
There's a few different ways to go about it. You got to find which one works best for you. But like you can look at literal like velocity loss for each rep.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that one just because that's too much math for me. Like I don't care to do that. I just aim to shoot for 0.65 meters per second for every single rep on a dynamic effort wave. That's just what I've found seems to just like work the best for people. Obviously, like Louis wrote 0.8 meters per second in the book of methods, but it's one of those things that Louis lied about. Like there's ain't people aren't hitting that speed at the prescribed weights. I literally have had one person out of the like hundreds that I've had try it. Like it just you don't do it. But 0.65 tends to be pretty good. It's not going to like wreck you, and you can still hit those percentages for the most part. As long as you're not like completely like wrecked, you can hit that 75, 80, and 85% total weight throughout the wave. At 0.65. Some people can go up to like 0.7, 0.75, but for most people, it's like 0.65. They're not going to wreck their CNS. They're going to be able to recover and keep going. You can keep the 45-second minute rest times and all that too.
So I kind of like to do that with my athletes and give them a velocity goal. And if they get the goal, then they get to go up. So like he's saying 0.65, like we might be like, if you can get both reps at least 0.7, then go up. Well, no one doesn't want to not go up like the whole amount of sets that they got. So, it keeps that effort and that intent high. And just to kind of rewind a second, like with the whole mindset of like, me and Bird was talking about this last night. Like you get these kids that they come home from college and they're so down, like in their numbers, like it can be a huge mental battle for them. Like where, like Matt was saying, well, you've been there before, so you can get back there. But for them, it becomes, I was there. Why am I not getting back there? Like they want to be back there now.
Yeah.
And it becomes like this whole trap that they fall into, that the only thing that they can focus on is every sprint, every jump, every lift. Like, when is it going to be back? When is it going to be back?
Yeah.
And like, you had to kind of like remind them, like, well, remember what we went through to get there?
Yep.
Like, you've been home for like 3 weeks. Like, remember all the sessions that we put in to get there? Like, so I just think that's something that, like, a total flip in the mindset of like, instead of being confident and patient, like some people, you're going to have to remind them, like, hey, like it's going to take time. You did it before, you can do it again, but remember what you went through before. Like, just because you're back doesn't mean it's just going to just, the gravity is going to give it to you.
You still got to work for it.
I think that's a age and experience thing too, potentially, because like as I've had more and more years of training and like, good training years and bad training years, you got to understand that you are going to suck sometimes. And I can't remember. I think it was Hoff that said it on Table Talk when he's like, you can't suck forever. And that's kind of the mindset like I've been in the last 2 years. Like, yeah, training has not been as good as it was in 2024 when I think I was at my strongest, but I'm not going to suck forever as long as I keep doing it. But to tell a young kid that who's like, their joints don't hurt as much, or they've got that passion and the youth energy and the recovery and everything, like they want it now and they're hungry. But it's really kind of one of those things that you just kind of have to go through it and experience it and realize that like it's okay that I suck now, but if I keep on the course, I will not suck forever. It might take you a month or 6 months longer than it took you the first time because you're coming back. You don't know if it's injury or what, but you just have to stay the course, which, you have to have the right mindset for that, which you can't put somebody in that mindset if they're not already there. You can't just tell them it. They won't believe you, or it's not going to click the same way as when it's their own conscious thought.
Yeah. And I think with that too, so I have I call him formerly College Matt. And so he hit 315 for 2 like maybe a month ago. And it was just after he crashed out. Like he missed his first rep at 255 because he wasn't paying attention. And then that same day he worked up to 315 for 2. But he's super inconsistent. Well, he's consistent now twice a week. He always pretends like he's going to do more because he can talk a great game, but he can't commit to a good game. And so I keep telling him, dude, you just gotta be consistent and you'll make progress or whatever. And so the other day we're doing pause bench and he hits like 295 for 2 and then he misses the first rep on both the next sets. And I was like, dude, if you were consistent, you'd be there. But doesn't it suck? Like
Hmm.
when you finally hit 315 and then you're not consistent, and you're kind of like letting off the gas, and there's no checkpoints. Like you can pretend like there's a checkpoint where you get to 315 and you can say I'm a 315 bencher, but it's like nah, that's not how it works. If you're not consistent, you're gonna fall off. You got to stay there for the next like 30 years. And he got so pissed, and he's like, I know you're right, but I hate you. And I'm just like, you're 22, you'll learn.
Yeah.
I was gonna say with like the velocity based stuff is I just found that I may not even tell the kid, but it's like I have their percentage where I feel like based on how explosive this person is, this
Okay.
is the percentage that we can actually get said speed that I want. And
Okay.
that's my base where I'll be like, warm up, and we'll start your sets that count at 135. I wanted 135 to move at 0.6, 0.7, and it's moving at 0.4. So today we're going to drop it down 15, 20 pounds. Does that get the speed that we want? Good. Then we'll stay there. Oh, like Sammy was saying, no, you're actually moving much faster. Okay, let's up it a little bit.
Yeah.
That's how, like, and it's like with the people like argue the 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 1 meter per second. All the way to, if you ask Jared, I wanted as slow as almost possible, down to a 0.2. I think, but if you just look at it, they all accomplish different things. So, like, sometimes I'll have kids like, you've talked to Bird enough. I believe that's who I've been trying to figure out who I got this explosive 12-week cycle from, if it was Bird or not. But like, it's just a band. Well, not just a band, but it was like a very interesting combo of band to straight weight. But it's like the
Bird.
it's probably Bird, and it's like part of the cycle is up to 1 meter per second, and then it goes all the way down to like a 0.4, 0.5 ish. You know what I mean? But it's like you use what you have a base percentage, but then it's just whatever you're using on that day to hit it, because you're gonna sleep bad. Your girlfriend breaks up with you. You eat like crap. You had a long day of school. You had a tournament. Like, those are all things that you can't predict. And just like any good coach, you just got to change it on the fly. You know what I mean? So the speed matters more than anything if it's not your max effort day. It's just really about the speed. You know, I think especially if you're not a power lifter. Because other than the powerlifting, it's like, but it's like if it gets slow, you're kind of still working it. You know what I mean? Like, it's still going to end up giving you benefit. Whereas a kid, you know, if they're not supposed to go slow again on another day, they can just now get hurt or something. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's one where, like, with the speeds, so I still have that gravity box where I might switch because it's outdated. The app isn't even supported anymore. But I would always track 0.6, 0.7, and 0.8. And then I also weigh what our body weight is. So I track the weight on the bar relative to your body weight that day. And we track our records on our chalkboards because we're schizophrenic with 300 records just on the boards, and there's only 4 of us, so we we can fit them all
Hey,
there.
there's 5 of us. All right, I'm on that board too.
With your 135 bench.
Right, that's exactly right. Because I don't record when I actually break whoever's numbers used to be up there.
I was actually just talking about that today too, because so we have Elizabeth, and she just erased one of the imaginary friends of ours.
Oh,
I don't
nice.
remember who. It wasn't
so
Guido
many.
G. Yeah. We have three imaginary friends on our board, but one of them just got erased. And we were talking about how, like, on the day that my daughter was born, you benched 315 for 3.
Yep.
And that was 4 years ago.
Yep.
Because you came over to bench at midnight.
Yeah.
On the day that my daughter was born.
Yeah, that was a lot of
Listen,
fun.
she may be getting born, but I got to get this damn record. I don't know what you.
That's right.
We'll smoke a cigar, but it ain't gonna
She's
be
like,
the reason you
but I
think.
got this guy that's coming over who wants to lift with me. So peace.
I've never met him
You good?
before.
You
He seems
good?
like a really nice guy.
Yep.
Hey, Doc, do you think we could fit a bench in here, by the way?
this hospital has a wellness center, right?
Oh my god.
Hey, everybody does something that their wife gets mad about when she's in labor. I went and got
Everybody
Burger
does.
She
King
didn't. She
while
didn't care
Oh, you
because
did. He got Burger King.
this gets more ridiculous. So the day that Ellie was born was the same day that Audrey got her first cast off from her broken leg, and we didn't know that she had brittle bone disease. So my mother-in-law brought her to the appointment to get her cast off, and she's screaming bloody murder because she's 2 years old, and we're waiting for Claire to pop out baby number two, and we get the phone call. I never want to go to one of these appointments again. This is horrifying.
Oh god.
And so then I go home to pick her up and put her to bed because she's
Yeah.
finally calmed down because she has once she has a cast on, she's good. Like without a cast, if it's just a splint, she'll have like spasms and those will wake her up and it's just horrifying. But once the cast is on, she's good. But so I get her to bed at like 7 or 8 or whatever, and Eddie's just like, yeah, so I'm just finish up dinner with a client, and then it's like an hour drive, and we've never met before, and he's just like, yeah, so I don't know what we're gonna do, but I'm down to lift, and I was like, yeah, I'll be home, we're good.
oh, Steve.
Wife must be nicer than mine because I couldn't imagine that.
Yeah.
First showing up on first 48.
Yeah. I mean, I gave him plenty of opportunities to back out. I'm like, hey, are you sure about this? He's like, oh no, it's fine. I gotta put her down anyway. I gotta go home. I'm like, okay. Yep.
I get away with so much dumb stuff. It's great.
But then since then, I mean, my family's been by your house multiple times since then.
Yeah, you stayed a weekend.
Oh yeah. We all went to the aquarium together and
That's the same aquarium where my sister got married and I got bit by the penguin.
Yep.
Bit by a penguin.
You need to quit.
I think
feeding
we
the
need to hear
wildlife.
that story.
Yeah, so I told this on the last podcast actually.
Let's try to
I
get
missed
it.
that.
My sister just got married in November and she got married at Mystic Aquarium. And so they do like this whole like they'll bring out two penguins and during the like happy hour, but it was like you get to pet two penguins and one of them I'm doing exactly as I'm instructed. I wasn't going rogue. I'm just two fingers pet the penguin and it turns and just bites me. And it's like, what did you do? And I was like, I did nothing. How dare you?
They could smell the wolf. That's what it was. Thing was like, I know you're kind.
Yeah, so bucket list, just check that one off as bit by a penguin.
Oh, that's funny.
You got to lie if he was in Antarctica or wherever they're from.
Yeah, Khalil, that goes under your category of white people shit.
No, that's some white people shit right there. I ain't messing with them. They don't play. They can survive. What do they be? They be standing all next to each other for like 2 months waiting for their girls to come back with the fish.
Yep.
Yeah, they don't play around, man. No.
Yep.
Did it hurt? Like I don't know. Did they?
No. It's totally not a big deal.
Yeah.
Didn't break the skin. Although if I get superpowers and swim really fast,
Penguin man.
Watch out, Michael.
But you still won't be able to fly.
Steve will be the penguin from that meme that's just walking off to the mountain away from everyone. Where's he going? He's looking for dynamic speed. It's 0.6 meters per second over that mountain.
Gosh.
Oh, man.
That's me. Looking for that 405 bench.
Yep. You'll get there, Steve. You've been very close a few times.
Yeah.
Dude, the worst was like I got hurt on the squat, and then I signed up for the meet because I'm retarded like that. And then the bench just falls. Like the squat and the deadlift went perfect. Where it was like I was only hoping for 600 and 600, But then like missing my second attempt on bench, where it was like I knew I was good for like 385 up until like 2 weeks out, and then it just falls apart, and I'm just like, what? Why? What am I doing wrong? So I only got the 345, and it's killing me.
Well, when you figure out how to make everything transfer over to the platform, you let me know because I'm still trying to figure that out too.
Well, it sucks because it's like I got 2 out of the 3, but it was the two that I was okay with them being down.
Hmm. Hey, when you figure out how to go 2 for 3 on a single lift, let me know. I'm sick of going 1 for 3. Not this year. Not this year. We're not
Just
taking the opener
double
three
down on the
times
squat.
again.
Just double down on the squat. It's all that matters.
I know. I can't wait. Like I said, it's I don't even know what I'm going to squat in when the time comes around. All my gear is gone. I got rid of all my 242 stuff. I got to figure out if I'm going to send some stuff out to be altered or just get a new pair of briefs or what. I don't have any. I got rid of all my canvases and everything. So it's going to be an interesting rebuilding phase for sure.
Speaking of that, a guy that I live with named Jake Searbert, I think that's how you
I
say
know
it.
Jake. I met him at Elite
Okay,
FTS.
he
Big
tells
dude,
me
right?
the guy that did his fitting for his newest bench shirt. He's like really really good. I think he's the one that actually does, like, he's the owner of. Oh my god, it's really
Overkill.
popular.
Is he the guy up
Overkill.
in
Overkill,
Michigan by?
overkill,
Oh,
overkill.
Rudy. Rudy.
It
Yeah.
must, yeah. And
I I've had mixed experiences with Rudy. Like
That's kind of how it goes.
Rudy, he'll make your stuff so tight. Like single ply from Rudy when it's painted on tight. I love it. I could not figure out multi-ply shirts from Rudy. I've had 2 of them now, and the last one I bought, it was like right before I cut down a weight class. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna grow into this and everything. I think I wore it twice and that's gone. But
oh,
eh,
you know what he told me? He said the first time he did it, he sent him the measurements or something, and he said when he was like, "Oh, measure around the biggest part of your bicep," and he did it like wrong or whatever. Well, needless to say, he said the second time what he did is he did a Zoom call with him, so
mhm.
he could do the exact way that he wanted it. Saw how his like body was, say blah blah blah, and he said when he got his stuff back, it was literally like it was custom fit essentially.
It's a funny thing. Danny Tinajero, he told me, because he's been sponsored by Rudy for years. He's like, if you're going to order, just lie about all your measurements. Tell them you're bigger than you are by at least a quarter to a half inch on every measurement, and then your stuff will actually fit. And you don't have to cover your body in baby powder and burst every blood vessel to hit a 4 board in a bench shirt. So,
And
yeah, I'm not sure.
if it is
You
too
know,
big, just do a just focus on some hypertrophy and pump up.
There you go.
man,
No,
I can't get
no,
my glutes back to 45 inches, though. I don't know. All the briefs are just so loose.
Matt has that problem with diabetes.
Yeah, it's not fun. Eddie, you know how those medications are. They mess you up. You don't want to eat. But we're doing good on the cut. I think I got to start adding in a little extra GPP to get the last few pounds off over the next month. But, I've been sitting between like 223 and 224 in the morning. So hopefully not too big of a weight cut in that hot tub in South Dakota.
It's a good time.
Oh, yeah. We missed you. What was it, like 8 or 9 of us in this hot tub? Like the smallest guy in there is like 250. The water's overflowing. I got the 7-pound bag of Epsom salts from Sam's Club and dumped the whole thing right in the hotel hot tub. And we sat in there for about an hour and sweat out as much weight as we
Just,
could. That was a good time.
just was so paranoid that they were going to kick us out of the hotel for putting salt in the hot.
Yeah, you could
It's
break
good for the hot tub.
She was so. I mean, he was just like, any second now they're going to come in here. This idiot! I can't believe Matt's so stupid. And we're all like, it's just Epsom salt. It's fine. They don't care.
It might just kill some bacteria. Who
Yes,
knows?
it's probably good for the system.
Right. We'll be doing that again this year, though. That's for sure.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
I know. We'll miss you, Steve. Emet, you got to come back too, buddy.
Yeah, I'd love to. Next year, I think that's probably the goal is to do the meet again.
Good
This
meet.
year, the main thing is to get to Crew Falls
Yeah.
Yeah.
so I can get my Hall of Fame jacket.
Hot tub party at Paul's. Hopefully he has a bathtub.
Yeah.
What
You
meet?
see, Emmett, are you really thinking about going to Crew Falls?
I am like that. I'll have like days off of work, and then I can actually like do the travel. So,
Hmm.
and yeah, that's literally all I like need for
I'll be right there with you. I got
for
like
the jacket. So I might as well just do it.
Yeah.
at any point in time, I could buckle down and finish the little bit of backlog I have. That'll put me at 14 also. I thought about trying to crash it out and then tell Tanner before we go to South Dakota, like, hey, I'm at 14. If there's some award that you want to give out, for somebody to earn a jacket, but I highly doubt that'll happen. So, oh, I'm gonna have to really buckle down and see if I can't make it happen. That'd be cool if we could go and both
I'm
get
pretty
jackets
sure
there.
we're gonna have a squat party there too.
Are you
Okay.
going to that, Big Steve?
Oh, I haven't told Claire yet, but
Okay.
because I was planning on going like April-ish because I really want to fix
Yeah.
Paul's squat, but then that didn't work out, and then because of the whole like travel thing. So
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
it was right as like the TSA was being retarded.
Yep.
So that didn't work out, and then I was like, well, I only need Crew Falls or the Arnold, and I missed the Arnold this year, so
But they missed,
because
or
of
they were
Yeah.
there.
They wasn't the same.
yeah.
I think if I will tell my wife that I won't go to South Dakota next year, then I think I could get away with going to Crew Falls.
Jess is just gonna tell me your ass better wake up for overtime. It better be 4 days a week and not 2 or 3, or start working some Saturdays.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all it is the
Yeah.
money. I haven't really looked at what it would cost, to
Well,
go
that's-
there, but
You guys know me. I always want to drive everything. So that's why I'm like, if we get people, like, I'll meet you in Ohio, Matt. Hop in.
shit, if it was the make or break to go there, I'd drive to Lancaster or just start at your
Heck yeah,
house, even
man.
if it's
Yeah, like-
backwards. Who cares? Road trips are fun, man.
Because
Yeah.
that's what I'm like, shoot. I'm like, man, we could make something work.
We just need to somehow make this podcast make money, and that and then the plan is we just have a conversion van from Scance's house up in Canada somewhere, wherever that is,
Have you
east of
tried?
Maine.
Have you tried marketing your half of a calf onto feet enthusiasts?
Oh my god!
Yeah. Oh God.
Oh, we've really devolved now.
Well, what?
Yeah.
Wait, Khalil, you guys were there for that, right? Wasn't Ann saying that like she made big money on
Yes.
foot picks?
Yes.
That's wild.
I work with a foot guy. I know way too much about people that are into feet, and
Ask him.
It's
Ask him
so
if he thinks
bad.
there's a market for half a calf.
I will. I know this dude has a sock drawer with single socks in it. Like,
Oh, geez.
he ain't right. Oh man, we just got to make sure we maintain our reputation of the Drunk Uncle podcast, where we start talking about feet pics and stuff.
Yeah, we have a reputation now. Which how did that even come about? Like, was that just I know was it Scance? I think it was Scance came up with that, and then I
I don't know
messaged
where I
Tanner.
heard it. Yeah,
Yeah, so it turns out you can be the psychological operation that you want to be.
yes. You just tell people we've always been the Drunk Uncle podcast. Just like we got to start telling people our podcast has always made a ton of money. We got high profile guests on tonight.
That's right.
Well,
we had to
yeah,
bring in
to
the
be
big
fair,
cash to
so-
get these guys on.
yeah, Khalil, you are our first Table Talk guest that came from Table Talk to here.
Elite.
Oh man, that's another one. I'm bummed to be
We
missing
actually
out.
have several listeners too.
Yeah.
I wish I was going to Elite for that crew weekend coming up. Is it next week or the week after? The end of June or July?
I think it's the next. It's either no. It must be next week because next week's the last week of June, and it's June. So
Yeah,
weekend.
so I went to the one in December of 24, and I tell you that was one of the coolest things I did. I stayed with Zach Marstiller and Rodney. We all got like an Airbnb with like 12 of us there, and we had a freaking riot. That's when they filmed or did the podcast with Rodney there too. It just awesome people there, man. And it was just nice to get some different perspective and be around so many like awesome lifters and everything. It's anybody who's listening or you guys here, like if you got a chance to go to that Elite FTS for one of those crew weekends, it's phenomenal. I'm gonna definitely have to go back to one in the future.
Yeah, that's something that I want to do at some point. Yeah,
Mhm.
Khalil's kind of spoiled by being there all the time now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's been too long since I've been back. I love
Yeah,
it.
well, I mean, like, I'm not trying to like literally brag, but like, if you guys want to come and fucking train, they've done literally like people don't know, but it's basically if you know somebody and the person just vouches for you that you're not an idiot in the gym, how strong you are is not the determining factor. Is
Damn it.
not a douche. So.
Have I not told you how I started lifting there? I'd be out there for work, and it would be an hour away, our facility. And I called him up. I'm like, can I come and have a tour? Like, I want to take a tour. And they're like, you want to do what? I'm like, yeah, I want to take a tour. And they're like, I got to meet Dave. And I'm like, holy crap. But like, Dave's talking to me,
Yeah.
And they're all like, and I'm like,
Wait.
so then I'm asking, I'm like, you guys have any like open gym time or they're like how long you in town? I'm like they're like you can come by Thursday night. I'm like okay cool, what do I got to do? They're like just show up. I'm like okay. And then I end up getting Matt's number. I haven't been out there in a couple of years now for work, but it's like I've got it saved, so like hey, if I show up I'm just gonna let Matt know, hey, I'm in town. Now I'll just reach out to you, Kalil, but
there you go.
I'll be like, hey, I'm in town. Can I come lift? Yeah, I freaking love lifting there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's literally just the whatchamacallit. The requirement is low.
Yeah. Yep.
It's high if the person's coming from bullshit gyms, but if you're a person that's like, for example, people here, yeah, it's just you just need to know somebody. But I don't even think that, like you said, he'd call because they don't really care. You know what I mean? Like, I think like Dave's whole, live, learn, pass on. He really does like being around him enough.
Yep.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And I
He
think
really
that's
does simplify.
grew up with Louis, so like the lifters in there, like when they need a belt or sleeves, like Dave doesn't charge you. You know what I mean? Like
Dave put his belt on me. I was like, holy Dave's
he'll
belt.
just be like, here, take the shit.
I was like, I was laughing about it because he was giving me a brace command, and I was like so blown away that I'm wearing Dave's belt that I was doing the opposite of the brace command. So then he starts like yelling at me more. I'm just like, I've never been yelled at like this, and I liked it. I was like, anytime anyone else ever yelled at me, I did not like it. I'm like, oh, this is kind of weird. Like, I'm cool with Dave yelling at me. Like, he can yell at me all he wants. It was awesome.
It's just a
and he has a giant erection.
No, it wasn't like that, but
that's why you put briefs on, okay? You don't even know.
That's right.
Wait.
Oh
what got you more aroused? That or Bryce's mom?
Oh man.
He didn't answer. Bryce's mom, I guess.
You guys are gonna miss out.
I'm
gonna miss South Dakota. I'll party with her this summer. That's 4 weeks away.
So Emet works for he works for the government. I used to work for the government, and I used to go walking every day with a buddy of mine who had a walking profile, and he taught me about things that they do as officers, where they would ask questions that there's no good answer to. like the one he always gives an example is he's like specialist private whatever, when was the last time you beat your wife, or something like that. Like there's no good answer to that question. And they trick you. So I learned in those kind of situations, like you just don't answer. You know,
Right.
there's no incriminating evidence if I don't answer.
Right. Does Israel have nuclear weapons?
Steve, that's pre-show talk now. Come on.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah,
Thought his other comment was pre-show talk too, but apparently not.
It's the same type of question.
Hey, if
You
they
need
say
to
it
go
around this,
downhill.
they're a hardcore fan, so you're probably good.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, all
Now,
three
if
of
it
them.
takes off, this will be clipped to cancel you.
Oh yeah.
Don't dig this
Honestly,
up. Yeah.
this entire podcast is just a game of chicken.
Yeah,
Mhm.
pretty much.
We're calling BS. We're seeing how much it takes to actually get canceled.
Hey, somebody's listening before you hit that record button anyway. Paul and I
Right.
haven't gotten picked up by any feds yet, so I think we're good.
Well, and so what makes that more interesting is because like with the whole FISA thing, Scans is Canadian, so they're already monitoring everything that you do
Oh
anyway
yeah,
because of
yeah.
this too.
Everything. Yeah.
So like
Mhm.
it gets extra surveillance, and we're still trying to figure out. So I still have all the analytics, and it claims that there's like other countries that this is being listened to.
Oh
So
really?
I don't know if those are VPNs or if those are real actual like listeners, or if it's just like you know other countries' CIA versions listening to us being retarded.
It's all of our handlers. Okay.
Yeah.
Aliens.
So,
As long
so
as
big,
you whisper that you love Elon Musk in your computer every day, you're fine.
well, actually, so that's another fun one because the Peter Thiel Secret Societies just came out,
Oh my.
and it has Elon, Jared Kushner, Ted Cruz. It's the whole gang is there,
Oh my gosh.
Look at how excited you are, Steve.
dude.
This much light in your eyes. All
Velocity
night until now.
training? Nothing. Like recovery? No, I don't care about that. Let's
Dude,
get some good
I
stuff.
am,
All right.
According to Alex Jones.
dude, I am locked in.
Oh man.
I
Emet,
got
did you
the
see those reels with Alex Jones as in like Warhammer and he's fighting the gay frogs space marines?
Oh.
No, but I need to see that.
Yeah,
I
need to
will
see that
find them
too.
on Instagram and send them to you and Eddie. They're phenomenal.
Have you ever just looked up Alex Jones' like compilation of him just saying funny stuff? You'll just
Oh
be
yeah.
That's like
I've
white noise
played
to
it in the
fall
weight
asleep
room
to.
before.
He's a what?
I've played it in the weight room before.
When he goes on the Justin Bieber rant, if that doesn't make you want to squat a max, I don't know what would.
Oh my
There
gosh.
was like someone once came in the weight room and they hooked up to the speaker and literally just played like it was just pundits just like crying about things, like just a compilation of just like news anchors just like complaining and crying about whatever's going on in the world, and that's what they were training to. And I was like, this is the most insane thing I think I've ever seen.
It pisses him off, I guess. But I'm guessing.
we had so we've gone very schizophrenic to the point of we've listened to car crashes, we've listened to all kinds of animal noises, vacuum cleaners, chainsaws, blenders. Like
You're looking for that secret sauce, Steve. There's something in that mix. One day you'll find the winner. And
so the worst part was one of the kids, his sister like just started and she's 14. And so it's like every movie reference, it's no, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that, dodgeball, whatever. And so her brother just goes over to the speaker and puts on like lion noises to lock in. And it's during accessories. And I was just like, dude, give her like 3 weeks to figure out what the fuck she's doing. Like, we don't start with lion noises. We ease into that.
I feel
Right,
like we're
you're
about
not
to.
trying to scare her away.
I think we're about to peel back another layer on this this supposed penguin bite story. I think there's a little bit more to that Steve's not telling us.
I definitely scared someone off Wednesday, I think, this week. Whenever I'm like having to do like hardcore computer work, I have to have some kind of music playing in the background, and it's normally going to be some kind of weird like drone metal. And I found a couple
Helps
new
you focus.
bands. I found this like new band. I don't know who they are, what they're doing, but it's just like some of the craziest noises that you'll ever hear in music. And so I was just blasting that in the weight room. The weight room and my office, both the lights are like, um, they're sensors, and so my door blocks mine, so I can nap whenever I want to. And so all the lights are off, and you're just hearing like the most random, like weird music just blasting out into the hallway. And I'm just sitting at my computer. So when someone like opens the door, all they're going to see is my face lit up, and that's it.
You know what? Jess
And
does that too. I got her hooked on like doom metal. She's listening to Electric Wizard while she's in her office at court, like processing files and stuff. You know what this is? This is more white people shit right here, ain't it?
That's I had a buddy in school, engineering school, and he would listen to video game music, and he would like
Oh,
just
man,
pull it
that's
up,
funny.
and he would be like, "No, if you think about it, like they designed that music to get you focused and like locked in on a video game for hours." So so I was like, "All right, I'll try it." So I like pulled up YouTube and pulled up like Mario Kart soundtrack, and I'm like, "Dude, it works." I was
Lap
like,
3
I
only
know
when
those
when it
Mario
picks
Kart
up a little.
songs, and I was like, I was like, "Hey, this is working. I'm gonna keep doing it."
Wait,
Emmett,
you
you're
mean like "Come On, Feel the Noise" by Quiet Riot in Grand Theft Auto 3?
yeah.
Yeah,
Emmett's gonna be listening to the Pokemon battle sounds
that's
from
right.
Game Boy games. That'll
Hell
lock you
yeah.
in.
my like go-to band is they're called Sun, like SUNN. Um, I went and saw them a couple years ago. It's two guys. They both just play the guitar, and that's it. They don't talk. There's no words. There's nothing. It's just two guys playing guitars with just a wall full of amps behind them. They're like in robes with smoke machines going everywhere, and their guitars are tuned so low that it's literally vibrating your whole body. Like if I did drugs, it'd be perfect. Like it literally is like music
Wait,
to like to just be
If I
stoned,
did
like
drugs,
stoned out of your mind. But that's what I
He's a
play.
man of the
Literally just
cloth. Come on.
turn it up and
wait,
just listen to
where the
just
I don't.
guitar noises.
I'm having a hard
where,
time connecting that and Trin. It's not making sense. I don't understand. Maybe D-ball. I don't get it. I don't get it.
wait, were they in the Mad Max movies?
The
Oh
latest
my
one.
god, that's funny.
No, but they would be great at like
I actually
it's
like
so
the latest
goofy.
one. I actually like the latest one. The one before that I thought was like okay, but
Yeah,
I really like the latest one. But I'll still love Mel Gibson.
yeah. I was gonna say
He
I'm so
personifies rage with a still face so well.
he's really catching a resurgence lately.
Yeah.
I was telling
Yep.
not only Jess that she has to watch, she's never seen Braveheart or The Patriot. She's got to watch
What?
those. And my buddy at work too. And like my friend at work is super into like Highland culture and everything. I'm like, dude, you've got to watch Braveheart. That's
Oh
like
my
Mel
gosh.
Gibson's best movie ever.
Has he
Well,
seen Rob Roy?
Pardon me?
Has he seen Rob Roy?
No. I mean, he's
Dude,
like, everybody has someone they know that's like, how Steve was saying, I've never seen this, but it's a grown adult.
wow.
And that's how my buddy at work is. Like, he hasn't seen Anchorman or anything.
Oh,
There-
don't
the
say
one-
it. I hate. Don't get me on the haven't seen the Will Ferrell, Ben Stiller.
Is this
There's
on?
an
all
entire
that shit.
Can they hear
generation.
me?
Yes.
Hello, everyone. I
Hi.
just want to say, at some point, I've been married to Matt for long enough. He's had custody of me for over 10 years. If I haven't seen the movie, it's his fault.
That's right.
No, he
Your fault.
suggested it, and you said, "Yeah," and he gave up.
Wait. What about Idiocracy? Because that one's killing me lately.
That's
No.
because we're living it.
I couldn't stand it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
turned it off.
right,
It was too,
Sam.
I couldn't stand it.
Oh, it kills me because like I saw it,
Too
20
accurate.
years ago, and it's so accurate. Like ever since the Jersey Shore is where I think society crumbled. That
Funny
was like
enough, one of the few reality
2006.
shows I used to watch.
Oh my god!
I despised it so much, and like that's where I just hated society.
It gave us
The
so many
Jim
good
Tan
cultural
laundry just
references, though.
made me.
Oh my gosh!
Gabsy.
Oh man.
But there's so many people that just have said that they've never seen it, and I'm just like, how?
Jersey Shore?
No,
Idiocracy.
Idiocracy.
Okay, I was like,
Yeah.
I have not seen Jersey Shore.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
definitely
no,
not on my list, Steve.
no. That's why we get along well, Eddie.
It's just funny how many people I feel like that are at least I train a lot of young kids that are now like out of college, but still like around 24, 25 and up, and some of them don't even know the movie like Tropic Thunder even exists, let alone watched it.
Yeah.
And I'm just where are your parents? They haven't done their job.
Right.
Like, come on. You haven't seen Goodfellas? You haven't seen The Godfather? Sopranos? What's that? Come on.
You know what?
Different world.
Another one, like
they don't have Saturday afternoon movies like we did. You know?
Yeah.
All
of the 80s and 90s, like B movies that weren't good, but you sat down and watched the AMC or USA or whatever, TNT or TNN. Like all of those, nobody watches anymore. And it's weird because it's like all these like crappy movies that you would sit down, like you'll never select it on like a subscription. No. But you've seen all of these movies because they were just on TV, and that doesn't exist anymore.
Are they still come on? It's that no one has cable anymore.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Yeah. And the kids' attention span because of the social media change.
Yep.
It's like if it's how it is, it's like it's same thing with music where it's built only to try to catch your attention. It has to be catchy. Yep. Everything's trying to be catchy. Which is why the quality, like, they can put out a movie, put out a song way faster, but the amount of times they put out something that will stand the test of time is like so less often because the quality is so much lower, and it's just about give them that high, whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So it's just like that. We're back to Star Wars again.
Oh, I thought we were going to
God. That and most of the latest Marvel stuff too.
Yeah, I mean,
Jesus.
Yeah,
I hope the new Spider-Man's good.
I thought we were touching on the Iranian Lego movie propaganda, but
what?
That's just you, Steve.
You guys haven't seen that?
No, I surprisingly that has not come across my.
Or I started watching or listening to the Derp with Kurt Metzger. And he just does like these AI videos of all of the like conspiracy stuff beforehand, and they're so good. Like it's so dumb, it's hilarious. That's called the Derp with Kerp.
You know what's funny too? Like
sounds about right.
There's like some people in my training group, like myself, Jess, and like one other guy that are like mid-30s or whatever. So we have like our references, and like. The only downside to training with a lot of people that are like in their 40s and 50s is nobody gets SpongeBob references. Like, there's one for everything, and I drop them all the time in the gym, and I get so disappointed when they go over everybody's head. I'm like, you guys are killing me right now. It's probably like it's the same feeling you have towards like a young kid when you try to say something and they've never heard of it, or like some person who's like 18 years old and they never heard of 50 Cent. You're like, what are you doing with your life if you never heard this? But
they'll be like, "Who's this?" Oh, shit, I'm old.
We had some kids in, and usually when we bench, it's always like old school hip hop, whatever. I say old school, like 50 Cent's old now, but like I look at this one girl who trains those. I'm like, she's like, I know this song, but I don't know who sings them. Like, how do you not know Disco Inferno? Like, what have you been doing with your life? What do these kids listen? Like, what? I wonder what their like references are going to be in 10 years right now, because with the new stuff out there,
I've seen the 6-7.
I was saying at the same time.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
I can't stand that one.
Type shit.
I love it because I got coworkers that get so mad over the 6-7 stuff. So me and another buddy, we just any opportunity.
I don't
it just
blame
makes
you.
the old guy's bones hurt or something when we do it. You know, that's fun.
That's
I
awesome.
love it.
No,
It is.
the worst though is my daughter not speaking. So like she'll write 6'7", and
Yep.
then she'll
Yep.
act it out with the hand gesture. I was just like, "You're 6."
Yes, I love it. I
Yep.
love it.
I've seen her do it.
That's incredible.
I don't know about you guys, but I gotta hit the hay.
Yeah,
All right, man.
All right.
fair enough. Hey, it was great to
Thank
talk
you
to you, man.
Yeah, it
Thank
was
you
good
so much for
talking to you
coming
guys.
on.
Yeah.
Thanks for
I
coming
definitely
on.
want to come by again. We should do one like just on like movies and stuff.
Oh,
Yeah,
that'd
we
be
can do
My
fun.
that.
favorite shit.
That'd be cool.
So.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be
Yeah,
sweet.
How often
absolutely.
do you guys do it?
Every other week.
Every other week?
Hey,
Yep.
speaking of which, what are we doing for 4th of July weekend? We're not. Are we recording on the 3rd, or are we gonna pick a different day?
I don't know what day, but we've got Mofo and mostly squat videos.
Okay.
So
I
I
might be
need to
gone on the 3rd, so
Yeah, I was
Okay.
gonna say I probably won't
Yeah.
be able.
Yeah, so we can move that to a different day and then just like schedule it. But
yeah.
luckily, nobody cares. So like
Yeah.
like Khalil, we didn't mention there's no editing to this. Like we just
Oh,
hit
yeah.
publish.
Yeah.
This is
Mhm.
raw, uncut, unfiltered.
Uncircumcised.
The only filter.
Oh,
The only filter is
actually,
before the record button.
that brings me to a point.
Oh, here we go.
So
Actually, there was a time I was about a day old, and
no,
First day of my
no.
life.
So
He just wanted to get all of our CIA guys to lean forward a little bit.
hang on. Well, actually, big shout out to them. They finally got their STDs cleared up.
Oh, okay.
So big shout out to them. But no, so as I'm going down the AI YouTube rabbit hole of gardening, I found don't worry, I'll get that. I'm laughing too
I'm like,
much.
okay, I'm like,
Let him
gardening,
cook.
Yeah,
circumcision. I do not
okay.
see how these relate to each
Oh,
other.
you wait. Okay. So if I were to describe
my
a
God.
honeyberry or a haskap, go Google honeyberry. And the only way that I can describe it and it's accurate is an uncircumcised blueberry.
Okay.
Just don't do it on your work computer, all right?
Yep.
Yeah, just do it right now live, and you're gonna be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Oh, Steve, you're a gem. Khalil, though, I'll have to reach
yeah,
out
I
to you
see
if I
that.
think I'm
Yep.
gonna make it down to elite again. I'd love to come train with you. You know, it's definitely on my list of things that I want to do next year. Try to get back down there, and you know, obviously, I'd love to talk to you more. And since I missed out coming on late, and hear more of what you got to say about training and everything. And if Steve was saying you were on Table Talk, I'm gonna have to check that episode out too when it drops.
There's
So
a couple of them.
couple of them,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
I'll check them out.
It's like if you go on the page, it's a little annoying because the way they do it, they'll show their members only and the regular version. Like
Right.
it may be the first one that pops up, and you're like, why won't it work? And it's the members only, and you would
Yeah,
keep
that
scrolling. But they've probably since mine have dropped 5 or 6 more episodes. So if you're on the
Okay.
YouTube, it's pretty quick that you'll find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it to get the members one? Is that like in the Discord or something to find that link?
I think so. Okay. So. Yeah.
I'll have
But
to check that out.
funny
Yeah.
enough, the regular one is actually longer. Oh, right, because the ads. So
It's
there
got
wasn't
the ads in
anything you got like extra or something like that. And my bonus content is on, like it was some like training advice and tips that I put. That was like a separate 9-minute video. But both of those you'll see pretty quick. Yeah.
We all know
Yeah,
it's
I'm gonna
about
check them out
feet.
for sure.
Yeah.
We all know the
awesome.
bonus content was feet pics.
Just hit me on Instagram or whatever, and let me know. But Saturday is definitely the best day because that's the lower body.
Yeah,
Most
for
people
sure.
are their day.
Yeah, Pete.
We typically, I would say, try to get there at 8, and the first hour is everybody talking and taking turns going to shitter, and then 9 we actually start.
Yeah, best shitters in any gym I've ever been to. They do hold a high standard, far better than the outhouse we have at the barn I train at.
For sure.
Oh man, it's great to talk to you.
You too.
Guys. Thank you.
All right. I'll see you guys. Hopefully real soon.
All right.
Yep.
Take care.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right. Sammy, you got anything else?
No, I'm good. I'm gonna head out myself.
All right. All right. We'll call it there then.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see
Awesome.
you
I'll
guys.
stop
Thanks for
recording.
coming on, Sam.